Greetings. So I'm going to start off by talking about Instagram because when it came out in 2010, I was just getting into a groove using Twitter. I loved Twitter early on. And it was amazing because a lot of people who lived in my area were getting on Twitter so we could talk to each other that way. And then we started branching out into meeting famous people all over the country. I would say the world, but it was mainly in the country. I mean, if you don't know the name Guy Kawasaki, look it up. But he was a big deal at the time. And he wrote a book about how to do certain things. And my name is in the book. So, I'm not upset by that. And I joined it in 2011. And the reason I joined turned out to be pictures. I've always loved looking at a bunch of pictures. And at the same time, there was this website called Pinterest, Pinterest. And I'm not sure if they're still around, but they were a big deal. They had all these pictures. Different people were putting their stuff up there. And people were also selling things using the same pictures. And that was kind of cool. And initially, I was just looking at pictures that other people were putting up there on Instagram. And I thought, man, this is just so cool. And then I went, where did I go? I went to, my goodness. Washington, D.C. for a conference. So I go to Washington, D.C. for a conference and I take the phone down with me. And I'd been there before. Okay, I was there back in 1978. And then this was going to be my second trip there. And now I had a camera, smartphone, but still I had a smartphone. So I could take all kind of pictures. And I'm one of those people who, even though I was there for a conference, I walked off by myself because that's just what I do. So I went all over the city taking all these pictures, taking pictures. I didn't take any pictures of the White House because I had this feeling that it may not necessarily be the smartest thing to do, at least that time. So I didn't do that. But I took all these pictures of all kind of stuff. And I thought that was pretty cool. Then I ended up being in Memphis, where I was doing a consulting gig for 18 months there. And, Memphis was not necessarily known as a safe place to be all the time. And that was the people at the hotel who told me that. Still, they had these beautiful gardens. I saw Martin Luther King, where he had been assassinated, and all these other different kinds of things. And I just took these pictures, and I love these pictures. Now, one of those other things about Instagram is that there were certain people who became big celebrities. Amanda Cerny, I can't remember all the names. But, they became big celebrities. They would have fashion pictures, but then they would have funny stuff that they would do, all these skits and everything. And I don't remember seeing any of them on YouTube. I heard that they had something later on, but I didn't see them. But they had these things going on Instagram, and I said, wow, they're so young, but they're so creative. Nothing that I would be able to do that kind of thing with. And then after a while, maybe a few years later, Instagram started having ads. Now, I expected that because YouTube had ads. As a matter of fact, my other YouTube channel, which I need to do something new there, and I'm probably going to do it maybe next couple of days or whatever. But still, I had, gotten onto the thing where you could make money using YouTube, and I was approved really early, and I don't know why, but, that did something. And I actually made some money. Ended up being less than $1, but I got it. And I couldn't download it because you had to hit a certain dollar amount before you could get that money. So that's still on the old channel. And, they were short things. Obviously, you didn't have your own, kind of thing at the time where you could set up your own commercials. You could, but there was almost nobody who was doing that. And so now I've got this channel here. I've got more followers here, not tons, but still I have some here. And one of the things I've noticed about both Instagram and YouTube is that they now have a bunch more ads. Like I said, you used to maybe see one ad in an hour, and that wasn't a big deal. And then more, companies who wanted to promote their stuff started having a lot more ads out there. And, I didn't have necessarily a problem with that until about 2 months ago, when one day I was looking at something and then it brought up this ad and I said, oh, that's an interesting thing. I wonder, what that looks like on their own site. And they had a link to it. So I clicked on this thing to go to the link, and that's just a mess trying to see those things with the link. And then you get in the sales pitch, and then it gives you this link that you can go to online, and it's got all this stuff on there. And I had 18 or 19 ads in a row of almost the same thing. Different sellers, but almost the same thing. A few other things came up, but like 19 ads at one time, that's kind of ridiculous if you ask me. Well, YouTube kind of has done the same thing. YouTube, like I said, they had ads early on and they didn't last all that long. Nowadays, there are ads that are sometimes like 4 minutes long. And I'm not talking about the political stuff because, that's to be expected, but the ads that are showing up like 3 or 4 minutes long, I mean, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Now, I'm sure those people are paying more money to keep that on there, but that's irritating being someone who's watching YouTube videos. And sometimes you are getting a video every, say 60 to 90 seconds. And that just kind of takes some of the fun out of it. Y'all ain't gonna have to worry about this one. I can't see YouTube putting out an ad during mine. If they do, someone let me know, because I've never seen an ad coming from any of my videos. But that is just wild. And some of the companies that are putting these things on Instagram and on YouTube, I don't really know who they are. Like Temu, I guess that's one of the biggest ones. I have no idea really who they are. I asked someone about it and they say, well, they sell products. Okay, well, a lot of places sell products. They said, well, they're from China, I think they said it was. And for a while there, I thought Temu was, getting a bad reputation for basically copying stuff that other companies were making at a very low price, and it was cheaply made. I don't see that anymore. Maybe Instagram and YouTube don't really care. As long as they're getting paid their money, that's fine. But it's just a wild day that we have where we have all these ads coming up. I don't get it. I don't know what y'all think. I'm betting that most of you, probably all of you, but I'm going to say most, don't like all those ads either. Phil DeFranco is interesting because he actually has sponsors. And so he stops during his, he does his news story, then he has sponsors. And that's kind of cool. I actually, admire him for that. But then after he's done that, and then they say the next story, and then they go to a commercial that lasts like 2 to 3 minutes. I don't know. I just have these things where I'm not leaving, Instagram. I'm not leaving YouTube. I love YouTube. I love watching the videos all the time. I've gotten used to, scrolling through these things on Instagram. They've got a thing where you can, basically do kind of a news story kind of thing where you can click on it where someone else has it. You can just share that as a story, or you can make a commentary on it, kind of short. Otherwise, you're going to block a lot of stuff because, I don't know. I mean, some of the fun is taken out, but some of it is still really entertaining. Maybe this is just the way it's going to go for forever from this point on, or it's going to get stronger. I don't know. So I'm doing this. I want to know what you guys think about this kind of thing. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you tolerate it? Do you want to kind of, beat somebody up? No, don't be beating anybody up. But I just want to know what you guys think about this kind of thing. And, let me know. And I guess I'm supposed to say it if you like the video, click and subscribe or whatever. Whatever you decide to do. Make a comment. Just be nice about it. Y'all enjoy yourselves. And I wish you a great weekend.